welcome back. Welcome to the latest episode of Cook with Amore, Cook with Love, the #1 self-care cooking show on the planet. If anyone new here, I'm Paola. I'm your host and I'm a self-care cookery teacher and Italian food expert, and my job in life is to motivate you. Yes, you, all of you that are coming in now, I'm here to motivate you to love yourself. Love yourself for self-care cooking and feel good Italian food, because you know what, guys, we all deserve to eat well in life. But I get it, a lot of you are busy people. When you're busy, you lack time, you lack energy, and cooking sometimes can just feel like a chore. But what I do, I'm here to show you that if you transform and create a positive cooking mindset, you can embrace cooking as a desirable, delicious form of self-care and no longer be that chore that you guys think cooking is at this point in time. Even all your foodies, even though you may love food, cooking does not always come easy to us all, but I'm here to show you how. How is everyone? Hello, come and stay. It's going to be a fun 20-25 minutes. You will not be disappointed. This is Cook with Amore, the #1 self-care cooking show. And on today's episode, there are two fantastic things. You may see I may have there's a pot here simmering away. I'm going to be sharing with you my top tips on how to never cook pasta wrong again in your life. I hear so many people say to me, oh, pasta is bland. Oh, sometimes pasta gives me stomach ache. Fair enough, I'm not a nutritionist or a doctor, so some of you may have intolerances, but sometimes it can be down to what you cook, how you cook it. On top of that, today's self-care cooking topic is all about mindful cooking. So, shall we get started? Let's start first with the pasta. I've already got the pasta here brewing along. So I'm going to start off with my top tips today. There's not actually a lot of cooking. Guys, I'm in Italy. It's super hot. But I definitely want to show you this because right now, pasta is probably one of the most popular dishes that a lot of families across the UK cook that is Italian inspired. We Brits love pasta. And if you want to do it justice, you're going to want to cook it right. Who loves pasta? Come on. I want to see that pasta emoji or a heart or whatever it is. Tell me, how much do you love pasta? I'm going to show you how to cook it right today. #1, when you cook pasta, do you cook your pasta in cold water or hot water? You need a big pan with hot, steaming, boiling water. Yes, Ellie Raven, you are spot on. 5 points to you, darling. 5 points to you. You want a nice, hot, boiling pot of water to cook your pasta in. That is going to cook your pasta perfectly. #2. Now, I want to ask you guys, when it comes to adding salt to your pasta, do you add a little bit or do you add a lot? I have had people that I've taught to cook over the last 4 or 5 years, and have said to me, Paola, I just don't get it. I just don't get what the whole thing about pasta is. I find it so bland. And what I usually find is that it's because they're not adding any salt to their pasta water. Because I think, especially in Britain, there's this whole idea that a lot of salt is bad for you. Of course it is. Salt isn't good for you. But I think we talk about salt, we talk about processed food. There is so much salt in processed food. But in home cooking, I think one of the most important things with home cooking, especially enjoying your food, is knowing how to season properly. And that is pasta as well. So I'm going to put, can you see? I'm not going to eat all that salt. That salt is going to season my pasta water, which is then going to season my pasta. Don't be shy. They say you want your pasta water to taste like the sea. Next, you're going to add your pasta. I'm using my favourite brand as always, Garofalo. Love them. And today I'm going to be cooking these. Can you see? Little orecchiette. But if you want to cook pasta perfectly, there is a way you can do it. There's one way. There's lots of different ways, but this is one way. Okay, maybe I shall tell you my secret. It's not really my secret, but all pasta packets have a timer on it. All good pasta brands are going to want you to cook your pasta properly, and they always have a number of minutes that they cook. Garofalo always have this little pan at the front. This takes 13 minutes, guys. 13 minutes. So what am I going to do? Actually, I'm going to have to keep my eye on the clock because I don't have a time on it. I'm going to put my pasta in, and I know when that comes back to the boil, I'm going to cook my pasta for 13 minutes. Why? Because I deserve to cook pasta that tastes like love. It's as simple as that. But what I usually do as well is I always like to try it 1 minute before. So it says 13, but I always like to try it 1 minute less, because obviously water boils at different rates, different pans have to conduct different types of heat, la 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 la. So in 12 minutes, I am going to check my pasta. I'm gonna wait for that comes to boil. Now, my next step before I start talking about mindful cooking, because we're gonna have to wait for these minutes to go. Does it keep cooking once you've drained it? I'll come to that later, because if you put it in a sauce, it does. If you put it in a cooked sauce, that's why sometimes I always like to check it a minute earlier, because if it's nearly al dente, I'm going to put it into a hot sauce, then I know it will keep on cooking, so I'll take it out at that point. My next point, how do you make sure that your pasta doesn't stick together? What do you do to make sure that your pasta doesn't stick together? I want to hear it from you. I've heard some crazy things. Literally some crazy things, but it's fine. I forgive you lot, because sometimes it's down to what some of these TV chefs do on TV, and I literally just stand there with my mouth wide open going, what are you doing? Okay, I'm going to tell you how you can make sure your pasta doesn't stick, and that is, as soon as you put your pasta in, you may have seen me already do it, just stir your pasta. Give it that love and attention. Stir it for a minute or two, and that will prevent your pasta from sticking together. If you just literally throw it in, let it sink to the bottom of the pan, and then it just sit there and cook, of course it's going to get stuck together. But you don't need any olive oil. I just stir it and make sure using a big enough pan. Exactly, the size of your pan is so important. If you cram your pasta into a small pan, it's not going to cook well at all. Just give it some love and attention. And I would say to you, don't be tempted to go and do another job while you're cooking your pasta. I feel there's something really therapeutic, looking at the bubbles on my pan, looking at my sauce, making sure that everything's going to be fine. Because guys, you deserve to cook yourself a nice bowl of pasta. And while this is cooking, so I've got another 11 minutes. In the next 11 minutes, I'm going to talk about mindful cooking, because I've already used some of the terminology here. There's some of the things that I've been doing by cooking this pasta that is mindful cooking. And we hear of mindfulness, and everyone feels like it's very holistic. But let me tell you, mindful cooking can be so many beautiful things in the kitchen. So let me start. Because like I mentioned in my introduction, so many of us are busy, we're like time and energy, and sometimes we just want cooking to be over and done with. And I get it. But mindful cooking is such an important part to self-care. When you're tired, when you're lacking energy, you need to eat. You want cooking over and done with. You want it out of the way, but you don't understand the disservice you're doing to yourself, because mindful cooking is such a great way. If you transform the way you approach it, your mindset changes from being something you want to get over and done with to being something that you just want to keep on doing. You enjoy the process. You pay attention to your ingredients. You appreciate what you're doing. And that has a knock-on effect on your mood and everything. So, before I carry on, I want to talk to you about the 3 benefits of mindful cooking. But let me tell you, if you are someone who, at this point in time, is struggling to take care of yourself, you can take care of yourself tomorrow or tonight, straight in the kitchen, by just practicing a little bit of mindful cooking. So here are some benefits. Right, these are the benefits of mindful cooking. Mindful cooking can reduce stress. When you've had a chaotic day, as soon as you get in the kitchen, when you have this positive cooking mindset, when you're present in what you're doing in terms of the chopping, the stirring, the smells, the flavours, the ingredients, when you're just focused on that, on your cooking alone, don't worry what's on TV, don't worry what's on your phone, don't worry about anything else going around you, don't think about work, just focus, get into a habit of just being present with what you're doing. You will start to slowly create a relaxing environment. And when you start creating a relaxing environment, which is an environment that you deserve to be in, you will start to notice the stress disappear. And there's the only way I can prove that to you is if you do it yourself. So if you're on this today, I would love for some of you guys to go away and do some of these things. But I'm going to carry on with benefit number 2. When you do mindful cooking, Then, when you start practicing, more mindfully with your chopping, your prepping, being more present in what you're cooking, you then start to create more space in your mind. You start thinking a little bit more about what you're going to eat, with what ingredients, how you're going to cook it, how is it going to make you feel. And then you start realising that you want to cook yourself better food. Because when you're in a rush and you want to get it over and done with, whatever you've got will do. No. You, my love, deserve so much more than that. So mindful cooking helps you to start appreciate yourself and who you are and what you need. And that is love. And it then, after that, when you start having that type of relationship, you start creating a positive connection with food. And food then becomes that thing that you love yourself with. Not in those unhealthy comfort food takeaway terms. No, I'm talking about food that you cook to make yourself feel better. My final point in terms of what the benefits are is that it creates joy and creativity. Now, a lot of us work and sometimes our jobs don't allow for creativity. When you get into that kitchen, that's your time. That's your time to shine. And mindful cooking, when you start to enjoy the process of cooking, prepping, the aromas, the colours, when you start being more intuitive in terms of what you're cooking, what you're feeding yourself, you want to eat better, then you start to get a little bit creative. Try out new recipes, experiment with flavours, try new cooking techniques that are going to allow you to cook the food that you want. And that, my love, is what loving yourself in the kitchen is all about. So I want to know if any of that sounds interesting. Does anyone already notice some of that but didn't realise that we're doing mindful cooking? Let me know, because in a minute I'm going to tell you 5 tips, 5 easy tips that you can apply today in your own kitchen. They're so easy. So if you want to go away from this show today and if you want to be able to say, do you know what? I'm going to listen to Paola. I do need to start taking better care of myself and I do want to start enjoying cooking again. I don't want it to be a chore. I want to start eating better. These 5 tips will get you in the mood. I want to hear who is ready for a bit of mindful cooking. I love to cook. I can taste the difference when I'm not being mindful. 100%. The number of times I've whipped up a meal and it tastes like shit because I have put no love in it whatsoever, and then I'm disappointed in myself because I know I could have done better. But you know what you do? You move on. Tomorrow's another day and you cook yourself something better. Right, I'm going to tell you what my top tips are for mindful cooking, because I love all of you guys. You guys have been following me for a while and I want you to go away with things that are going to make you feel good. So, tip number 1. If you've been watching these shows, this is episode 7. Episode 4 was all about creating a relaxing, enjoyable kitchen environment. You're not going to enjoy a kitchen if your kitchen is cluttered with stuff that doesn't need to be out, or it's not a space that you enjoy. Make it your own. Love yourself. But it's mainly decluttering, putting something comfy on, play music. Oh my God, music for me is like music is my life apart from food. And then the final one is about pour yourself a glass of wine or make yourself a cup of tea. Get yourself comfortable. Be kind to yourself like you would be for your loved one or your child or your friend. Do that for yourself because you deserve to. So that is number 1. Number 2, keep it simple, guys. If you're saying to yourself, do you know what, I'm going to start mindful cooking tomorrow, the last thing you need to do is start cooking complicated recipes. Like, eating well and healthy does not mean complicated recipes. Keep it simple. Sometimes the reason why cooking feels like a chore is because we get overwhelmed. And if you're going to start creating complex recipes, that is not the way to go. Cooking can be therapeutic. And if you create something simple but delicious and pleasurable, you know that accomplishment that you are going to feel in you is amazing, and you deserve that. And that, my lovelies, is love. Number 3, so we've talked about comfortable environment, keep it simple. Number 3, be present. We've talked about it before in the benefits. Slice everything, think about how you're slicing it, how does it sound, prep everything, stir. What are the visuals? What are the smells? What is everything going on around you? Be present in it. Try and do it. It's hard. It's like meditation. If anyone started doing meditation before, it sometimes can take a while to get into the routine. But the more you try and do it, love yourself enough, keep it up. Even if you can only do it for 30 seconds the first time, just do it for 30 seconds. Maybe the next day you do it for a minute. But notice the change. Because like I said before, one of the benefits that reduces stress, the more that you are more present in your cooking, the more you start to feel the stress leave you from the day. So moving on to my next step is all about, when you're cooking, there are smells and there are colours. Take it all in. When I'm teaching my members in my cooking community, my self-care cooking community, I always say to them, I know there gets to a point when the cooking's smelling fantastic. I'm like, take a minute here and smell your food. Does that not make you happy? How many of you smell your food? How many of you stop and go, that smells amazing? How many? Tell me. My next tip is cook with love. And what do I mean by it? Someone's already mentioned it before. When you cook with love, but if you aren't present, if you are not being mindful with your cooking, you're not loving yourself. That may sound very, very harsh, but it's true. What we eat and how we cook is a reflection of our self-worth. If we give our food love, it's a reflection that we love ourselves. And I know for some of you go, what the hell are you talking about? But I truly believe it. I am an example of how cooking your food with love can change you and make you a much happier person. Because when you eat well, and we're talking a lot more now in the media, eating not just affects our bodies, but affects our minds, our mental health, our soul, and you deserve it. And that, guys, are my top tips. And I will go over those top tips at the end of the show. But right now, my pasta is ready. I've got 1 minute to go. I'm just going to just taste it. So it's 1 minute. So this is making sure that my pasta is al dente. Buono. Oh, it's lovely and seasoned, guys. It tastes delicious. Now, I'm going to just do something here. So bear with me. I'm just going to get my sauce in here. I've just got a little bit of tomato sauce. I don't have a lot. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to add the pasta to my sauce. And as you can see, I'm not draining my pasta in the sink. I rarely do these days. I much prefer one of these little sieves, because do you know what, guys? Sometimes we need some of that pasta water, and that's my final point. Well, my final point is actually you're getting 2 in 1. Always add your pasta to your sauce, and always add a little bit of pasta water to kind of create a gorgeous silky sauce to coat your pasta. And honestly, it's absolutely magic. So I've got my tomato, so I'll put my pasta in my sauce. Again, I'm not rushing it. Can you see the love I'm putting into my pasta? Because I deserve it. We all do. And it's not like, when you say stuff like that, it's not like, oh, she's a big head or she loves herself. Yeah, I do love myself. We all deserve to love ourselves. This notion in the UK, like, loving yourself is like, oh, she's like, she's full of herself. I'm not full of myself. I just want to take care of myself and love myself. And that is okay. So start getting comfortable with saying, I love myself. Because you do, you should do. We should all love ourselves. The way we love our family, our husbands, our wives, our children, our aunties, our uncles, our grannies, our friends, whoever, you may love the postman, your teacher, whatever. Love yourself the same way. And a lot of us don't, because we forget about how important we are. We are always the last on our priority list. When our lives are busy, we're spinning all those plates, we're trying to be successful in life, we can just forget. I'm going to put a little bit of pasta water. Not a lot. That is it, my guys. I hope you found those tips useful. I'm just going to go over those mindful tips again. Just see if anyone, let me know if you found the pasta tips on the mindful cooking interesting this week, and things that you could go away today and be more mindful and love yourself. So the mindful cooking tips that you can apply today are: create a nice, relaxed and enjoyable space to cook in. Choose a simple recipe. Number 3 is be present in the cooking process. Number 4, take in the aromas, the colours, everything when you're cooking. Appreciate the love that's going into your food. And then number 5 is cook with love. Don't try and do other jobs. Oh, I've got all these different things to do, I've got to get it all done. Cooking, who cares? As long as I get food on the table, you've got to change that mindset. Because like I said, what we eat is so important. So if you cook with love, you're feeding yourself with love. When you feed yourself with love, you're happier, you get pleasure, you get joy. And when we feel those things, we want to grow, we want to be successful. And that is the end of today's show. We are over and done. So I want to say thank you to everyone who's joined. Before you go, I just do want to remind you, if there's 2 other ways I can help you at the moment, if you're interested, I do have a free download called the 12 Essential Italian Self-Care Ingredients. go and download it now. So if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of time, low in energy and time, but you want to whip up quick meals, these 12 essential ingredients are things that I always have at home, and I always create recipes with these basic ingredients and with the fresh ingredients that I buy in the week, and it's been an absolute saver. So go and get the download for free. The link is in my bio. It'll give you some ideas as well per ingredient what you can do. And then the other thing, which I'm very, 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 very excited about, is that I am going to be launching my membership, the Self-Love Cooking Club, for new members in September. At the moment, I've got my old current self-care cooking community. The majority of them have moved over. They're really excited for the launch again in September and bringing lots of new members in. But it's essentially a space, it's a community for like-minded people who are foodie, self-care enthusiasts, people that have been lacking time and energy and have decided now is the time to take better care of me, taking better care of yourself. It's a place where you find common people who are putting themselves first, loving themselves, and it's a community where you get motivation, support, accountability, and there's things like lots of different live online cooking classes that last only up to an hour, teaching you really easy, feel good, healthy Italian dishes, and a recipe library so you're never in a cooking rut again, over 200 recipes, and a fantastic community group chat where you can ask me and anyone else in the group for help, share your cooking journey. It's beautiful. The people in there are so fantastic. I'm so proud of it already as where it is. But the main official launch is in September. You can also download. You can also go to the link in my bio. It's where it says links plus free self-care cooking guide. Underneath that you get a link, and you can also sign up to the waiting list. You're not committing to anything yet, but it means that when I release all the information about all the extra things that are going on, any bonuses, anything exclusive, whatever, you'll be the first ones to know. And on that note, buonanotte everyone. Ciao, ciao, ciao. Love you all. Thank you so much for keeping me company today. And remember, whenever you feel like things are getting tough, remember, love yourself. Cook yourself something delicious because you bloody deserve it. Ciao tesori miei. Bye.